All right, let's talk about mental math. We're going to dive in and unlock some seriously cool secrets for multiplying numbers in your head way faster than you thought you could. Let's get right to it.
You know that feeling, right? Someone hits you with a multiplication problem and your brain just stalls. It's that moment of panic where you're wishing for a calculator or even just a napkin to scribble on. We've all been there. Well, that feeling ends today. Seriously, in the next few minutes, we're not just learning a few random tricks. We're actually building you a mental math toolkit, one that's going to make you faster and a whole lot more confident with numbers. So, our first set of tools, I like to call these the doubling and halving hacks. And the best part is, they're built on two things you already do intuitively, making a number twice as big and cutting it in half. These are your secret weapons for speed. Let's start with an easy one, multiplying by 4. Look, multiplying by 4 is really just multiplying by 2 twice. So the rule is about as simple as it gets. You just double the number, and then you double that answer. That's it. Let's take 7 times 4. In your head, all you have to do is think, okay, double 7 is 14. Double 14 is 28. And boom, you're done. No crazy multiplication, just 2 simple steps. Okay, building on that, let's tackle multiplying by 5. Now this one is super slick because it has 2 different paths, one for even numbers and one for odd numbers. Check out how this works. For an even number, like 8, just cut it in half. You get 4, and tack a 0 on the end. 40. Easy. Now for an odd number, like 7, you do a quick 3-step. Subtract 1 to get 6, cut that in half to get 3, and then just stick a 5 on the end. 35. It's a really clean and just efficient system. All right, now for a real game changer. Multiplying by 25. The secret here is to stop thinking about multiplication entirely. Instead, think about money. How many quarters are in a dollar? 4, right? So multiplying by 25 is basically the same as figuring out how many hundreds you've got. You just divide the number by 4 and then add 2 zeros. So if you see 16 times 25, just ask yourself, how many times does 4 go into 16? The answer is 4. Add 2 zeros, 400. See, it's so much faster than trying to do that whole calculation in your head. Okay, last tool in this first set, multiplying by 15. This sounds a little tough, but I promise you it's just a quick 1-2 punch using moves you already know. So this is pretty clever. 15 is just 10 plus 5, right? And 5 is just half of 10. So to figure out 24 times 15, you first multiply 24 by 10. That's easy, 240. Then, and this is the key part, you add half of the original number. Half of 24 is 12. Add that to 240, and you get your answer, 252. And that brings us to our second tool set. I call these the magic pattern hacks. Why? Because these tricks tap into these really cool kind of hidden patterns in math that honestly feel a little bit like cheating once you see them. First step is probably the most famous one of all, the 11 trick. For any 2-digit number, this is just, well, it's beautiful. You just take the 2 digits, pull them apart, and then you drop their sum right in the middle. Look at this, 32 times 11. You take the 3 and the 2, and you just create a little space. What's 3 plus 2? 5. You pop that 5 right in the gap. 352. It's almost too easy, isn't it? Next up, let's talk about multiplying by 9. You might know the finger trick, but let's just look at the pure numbers for a second, because the pattern itself is so satisfying when you see it. There's this amazing rhythm to it. As you go through the 9 times table, just watch. The tens digit on the left just climbs up. 1, 2, 3. While at the same time, the ones digit on the right falls. 8, 7, 6. Once that pattern clicks in your brain, you can basically just see the answer. All right, our last little piece of magic is for something very specific, but it comes up more often than you think. Squaring any number that ends in a 5. Let's use 35 squared as our example. It's 2 simple steps. First, you take the first digit, in this case 3, and you multiply it by the very next number up, which is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Got it? Then, for step 2, you just slap a 25 on the end. That's it. So you take the 12 from the first step and the 25 from the second step
and you just push them together. The answer is 1225. It's a perfect little recipe that works every single time.
Okay, you have the tools. You've seen the patterns. So how about a quick victory lap? This isn't a test. It's just a chance for you to feel how much faster you already are. You ready? Let's do it.
All right, first one up. Be quick. What is 34 times 11? Remember that trick? Split the digits, add them together. What do you get?
Did you get it? 374. You split the 3 and the 4, you add them to get 7, and you put it right in the middle. Awesome.
So let's do a super fast recap of your new core toolkit. For 4, you double twice. For 5, you're basically having the number and just adding a 0 or a 5 depending on if it's even or odd. For 11, you split and add. And to square any number ending in 5, you take that first digit, multiply by the next one up, and stick a 25 on the end. If you master just these, you've got mental math superpowers.
And let's end on this thought, because it's so important. Math isn't about being born a genius. It's about knowing the tricks. That's really the whole secret, isn't it? It's not some magic gift. It's a skill. It's about knowing the strategies and having the right tools. And now, you do.